I host this cool little camp called Trailblazer. This is the 5th camp I've ever hosted, and it's home to the 17th through the 23rd camp seasons I've hosted, meaning there are 7 complete seasons of Trailblazer. I am an absolute Survivor super fan, and also a big statistics lover. So when I saw this YouTube video that ranked the 91 idle plays in Survivor at the time, I took a page from this video and made a spreadsheet ranking every idle play in Trailblazer history. Our 7th season in the Comoros has just ended, so now is an appropriate time to make a video on it, just for fun. The immunity idol is unique, as it is arguably the most power you could get in the game. While methods of obtaining an idol are different, the actual use of an idol remains linear. The standard immunity idol allows you to play it on yourself or someone else at Tribal Council after the votes are cast and before the votes are read to negate all votes for whoever it is played on, extending their time in the game by, at the very least, 1 round. Every idle play is a public usage and involves a lot of strategy. Play correctly, the game as a whole can change. Play incorrectly, and you may regret it forever. I will be ranking every idle play from worst to best, based off of how the idle play benefit the user, meaning did it successfully save the person it was played on from being eliminated. Incorrectly playing the most powerful thing in the game is obviously not the goal, so doing something like playing it on someone who is not going to be eliminated regardless isn't ideal for the rankings. Even worse, you could consider if the user of a wasted idol needed it in the following rounds, amplifying the harm of misplaying it. I will also be considering if the idol negated a necessary amount of votes. For example, Kazoo, later in the video, plays an idol that only ends up negating 2 of the 7 votes at that elimination, meaning the idol wouldn't have made a difference if it went unplayed. Another huge factor considered is if the idol was played in a way that changed the course of the game. Playing an idol that changes the power structure is far more impressive than playing one that only delayed the inevitable for 1 more round. And finally, the main factor considered is the reasoning for playing an idol. Knowing you're getting votes and responsibly playing an idol is a fair enough reason, but if you're stuck on a split vote against an ally, like someone deep in this list did, and you play the idol on them, saving them and expanding their lifetime, your reasoning is considered for being effective, just not to yourself. Creativity is a key in idle plays, not just success. All idols mentioned in this video do the same thing: give full confirmed immunity to the target of the idol, but in Trailblazer, some are a little bit different. Like the idol you have to play before the results of the challenge are even out, or the idol that infects you with the plague if you hold on to it for too long and you just want to get rid of it, which we're not going to get too deep into. I plugged all of this into a spreadsheet alongside statistics directly copied from the Ranking All Survival Idle Plays video, which I highly recommend you watch if you're a big Survivor fan like me. Then I applied my reasoning for the ranking of each idle play. The visual you'll see on screen when I rank someone will include the ranking, the user of the idol, what stage of the game they played it during, and in what season, who they played it for, and how many votes the player that they used it on received out of the amount of votes cast at that elimination. I will also be including the amount of rounds the target of that idol survived after the idol was played on them, just to show you how much of an effect the idol had on increasing their time in the game. Only using an idol to survive 1 more round is far less impressive than using it on someone in a way that allowed them to survive 5 more rounds. I call this rounds survived after idled, which you'll see as RSAI. I also included rounds survived after idled minus immunity right below it, which shows how many more rounds the target of the idol survived without relying on winning immunity in a challenge. This statistic is a teensy bit inaccurate in some instances, but I don't really care. So let's stop blabbering and start giving you some of the more interesting background noise. Out of the 7 seasons of Trailblazer, 33 idols have been found, 28 have been played, 21 different players have played idols, and 22 people have had idols used on them. This means 5 idols were found, but the players holding them were eliminated whilst having possession of the idols. And I won't rank these, since they all tie for the worst thing you could do with an idol: get eliminated while having one that could have saved you. So, let's start. In spot number 28, meaning this is the worst idle play we've ever had in Trailblazer, is also the most recent one, and it is from Ginger Snap. This one is infuriating. Birdstack had reached out to Ginger Snap in a last-ditch attempt to survive a little bit more, which worked successfully. Even better, Ginger Snap promised to Bird Stack at the final 5 elimination, the second elimination that Bird Stack was vulnerable at after his idle play, that she'd idle him to keep him around another round. Bird Stack would have won a finale against anyone in the cast, but Ginger Snap was insistent on this. Instead, Ginger Snap did not follow up on this promise, and resulted in Bird Stack being eliminated after she played the idol on herself. The idol made no difference, changed nothing when it could have, and happened in place of a free, successful idol play that would have changed the winner of the season. In spot number 27, the idol play just before the Ginger Snap idol play was played by Scrapbook. Scrapbook was not going to get eliminated at this rate, and after sniping the idol in an absolutely game-changing idol steal from Canny, plays the idol on herself at the final opportunity to. I fully expected this to be used on Seltzer, who was definitely going to be getting a confirmed handful of votes, but instead, the idol was flushed entirely when Scrapbook played it on herself. At spot number 26, we have Stitches. Stitches knew he wasn't going to get any votes, but played it because he'd rather be safe than sorry due to not liking his position in the first merge round. He instead came out on the right side of the Alliance War, but unfortunately was always looked at due to his surprise idol being misplayed on himself. Even with 2 extra votes being cast at this elimination, Stitches managed to negate 0 of the 13. In number 25, we have one of the more abstract idol plays by Traffic Cone. Traffic Cone didn't want to die from the plague. He played this idol on himself because why not? It did nothing and could have been used better in a future round, but it would have been a risk for a player who admitted not to be too strategic to hold this for much longer when the idol literally kills you for having it. In spot number 24, we have the first instance of the Intuition Immunity idol, meaning it was played prior to the results even happening. Knowing it was a double elimination, Fleacaller played the idol on himself to ensure safety. This helped further narrow down the vote, which could have possibly fallen onto Fleacaller, but I doubt it. Still successful in the form that Fleacaller was immune from elimination, just everyone knew it and it likely wouldn't have made a difference. The same thing goes for the player in spot number 23, Poison Pump, who again played an Intuition Immunity idol. Poison Pump has been holding onto this for quite a while, and didn't want to be vulnerable at the elimination with the supposed blindside in plan. He didn't win individual immunity, but the usage of this idol prior to results gave him immunity, meaning it worked in making him immune. Poison Pump was always a target, and may have received some votes without this, but it's still up for grabs on if he would have actually, and I don't think he would have. In number 22, we have the first instance of returning competitor Blacklight in this list. Blacklight got a hold of another immunity idol in the last possible round to do so, but instead of using it for some masterclass play such as eliminating his best ally, Wandy, he simply confirmed himself a spot in the final 4 and saw no reason to take any further action. He received no votes as Pomegranate was mutually agreed as a jury threat who needed to go due to Lakuma winning immunity. Blacklight has tons of idol plays on this list and is one of the better idol playees, but this was kind of a waste for the season that he made it the furthest. In spot number 21, I have Flypaper in Breon Island. Flypaper found an idol at the last round to play one, and she played it on herself, just in case, but it didn't matter. This was one of those idol plays where it was a might as well play it just because it was the last chance to do so, instead of a more strategically based idol play. In number 20, we have Spray Paint from Transylvania, the first idol play by him, which is kind of weird in a way that it only made a minor difference, but the idol play was made to gain trust, and didn't do so well. Spray Paint wanted to confirm the trust he built with Fleacaller, and played the idol on him just because he had a second one. Fleacaller got 1 stray vote, which was nullified at that elimination. Unfortunately, it didn't change anything, and would have been much more powerful in the following round where Spray Paint needed it. In spot number 19, I have the first appearance of Lilith on this list. Park Pamphlet gave Lilith this special idol, and due to it being too hard to keep from expiring since Lilith had to sacrifice her votes to continue using it, Lilith used it immediately. It had no effect and only nullified 2 of the votes for herself in a 5-2 elimination against Navigator. In spot number 18, we have Wandy from Nightingale Islands. This was a pure paranoia idol play. Flypaper was attempting to get votes onto Wandy as a last-ditch effort to survive, but ended up losing support. Wandy instead flushed an idol to be safe. Flypaper was eliminated in a 9-1 with the 1 vote being for Wandy. This idol play also came as a surprise to many of her close allies, as she only told Blooming Cactus, who was afraid of the idol being out in the open. Wandi moved past this and went on to perform in the final immunity challenge, even with this major mishap. In spot number 17, we have another idle play from Komoros by Seltzer. Seltzer was aware about a target on her back from Adjustable Mike. However, with the votes not being too set in stone, and not knowing how many people were voting for her, and voting for Adjustable Mike, Seltzer played her idle. The idle play ended up being unsuccessful and had severe drawbacks. This placed a permanent target on her back for the remainder of the game, and she only received votes for every round she was up for elimination, excluding the final 5 elimination, where she barely survived. The idle wouldn't have helped too much regardless, but this was still a flush when it could have been used. A similar story goes to the 16th placer in this list, Kazoo. In the split tribal, Kazoo was going to get votes, but wasn't aware of how many. He played this idle he got from a trip to the summit for good measure, nullifying 2 votes in a 4-2-1. Better safe than sorry, and despite Kazoo's threat level, he still made it to the final 4 after this play. In spot number 15, we have the first ever immunity idol played, well, standard immunity idol, by Rocket Ship. Rocket Ship was facing being a target after overthrowing Eternal Flame, and targeted Banana Peel, the contestant to realize this major play was too important to let slide. However, the idol was not necessary for Rocket Ship to survive, as Marble Race voted alongside him for whatever reason. Funnily enough, Rocket Ship had possession of the idol when he initially got eliminated, but rejoined the game with it and used it at the last opportunity to do so. In spot number 14, we have the first idol play by Spray Paint in the final 6 of Transylvania. Spray Paint was really trying to nail this blindside elimination on advantage, the biggest threat to win the game against him, and knew that he was going to be receiving votes. He played an idol on himself, understandably, expecting 3 votes, but only ended up getting 2. This, alongside the idol played on Flea Collar, nullified every vote that wasn't for advantage, but was excessive, yet understandable to an extent. These 2 idols, combined with previous moves pulled by Spray Paint, and the recent elimination of the mighty advantage, only further painted a target on Spray Paint, who was out of spare idols and couldn't win the following immunity challenge. Every remaining idol play was successful, with the exception of the 13th to the 11th, which were successful in a very weird way. In spot number 13, we have Lilith again. After a challenge that awarded a lot of penalty votes to participators in the final 10 and 9 rounds, Lilith realized that she accidentally had too many penalty votes and was going to be eliminated automatically, forcing her to play this idol on herself to ensure she wouldn't be eliminated. This idol did nullify a majority of the votes, but they were all penalty votes, and this did eliminate Park Pamphlet, her ally. Lilith solved the problem she caused and changed the rest of the season by accident. In spot number 12, we have Platinum. This is a weird one because in the video I took inspiration from, idol plays with idols that were nullified due to other advantages were placed at the very bottom. But I put this one up high because technically it was successful, as Platinum was going to be eliminated and this would have saved her. But I still, feel really bad. Whatever. This idol play would have been successful and would have eliminated Lemon Battery, a very big threat to winning the game. But Platinum could tell she was a big target and played the immunity idol on herself. However, due to an advantage played by Slingshot, this idol was stolen and given to Slingshot. I still can't believe this one. It should have been successful, and Platinum probably could have won the season. Maybe. I don't know. In spot number 11 is the last weird idol play, and that is from Kunai at the final 19 of Breon Island. This is the earliest immunity idol ever played, and also the second one ever played. At this elimination, Kunai and Lemon Battery were in the minority, but Kunai had an immunity idol. Lemon Battery convinced Kunai to play it on him after the majority split votes between the two. Kunai got eliminated with 3 votes. Had this idol been played on Kunai, Lemon Battery would have instead been eliminated in a 2-2 revote. Because of this play, Lemon Battery survived long enough on the bottom to reposition against all odds and push as far as the final 5 due to various impressive plays that fooled competitors, until Lemon Battery was back in a power position and only eliminated the same way he should have been eliminated many rounds ago, a split vote. This idol play tripled Lemon Battery's lifespan. Now we're at the top 10. All of these idol plays did successfully negate a proper amount of votes, but I ordered them based off of the things we discussed prior. Some idol plays, such as the 10th placing one by Birdstack, weren't as impressive. Using the idol Birdstack was on route to get since the very first round, he realized that he was going to be eliminated at the final 9 and was seen as a very easy target. But he used this idol successfully to negate enough votes to cause a tie and a close vote following. This idol play didn't change the direction of the game, but nearly did had Cinnamon voted at that elimination. Idol play was successful, but what followed was not. In spot number 9, we have the return of Blacklight and the first ever idol played by him. Blacklight was targeted due to a very scary challenge game, which others believed could have spiraled him into a power position. His secret ally, Gingersnap, used social connections to discover that Blacklight was going to get a fatal amount of votes, and Gingersnap barely convinced him to play the idol on himself. He placed a vote on Kazoo, while Gingersnap voted for him to keep the secret alliance a secret. But unfortunately, it ended up in a tie. Fire Hydrant was eliminated instead of 2 very big threats, Kazoo or Time Capsule. In spot number 8, we have Blacklight again. Blacklight was scared with the forced use of 2 legacy advantages supposedly in play at the final 6 round. So despite Lakuma receiving 4 of the 6 votes, he played this idol on himself after realizing the limited options given for a target. This ended up being the right call, as Lakuma played an advantage to nullify her 4 votes, and Blacklight received the other 2. The use of this idol, alongside other advantages played, eliminated remote control due to no one else being vulnerable. Blacklight nearly didn't play this idol, and is known for hesitating with his idols previously, but did the right thing here. In spot number 7, we have Lemon Battery. Lemon Battery is one of the unique contestants in Trailblazer, as despite only competing 1 time, he's the only contestant to play an idol on someone else, and have an idol be played on him. After only nullifying 1 vote, the play of this idol at a split tribal saved Lemon Battery's life once again. His target, Platinum, played enough advantages to nullify all votes towards herself, and the majority decided to put votes onto Leaf Blower to ensure that they couldn't rejoin the game, with 1 vote on Lemon Battery. Without this idol, Lemon Battery would have been eliminated, but instead, he caused a 0-vote tribal and was safe from a revote due to playing his idol. In spot number 6, we have Antique in Nightingale Islands. Antique already did not trust that Remote Control was going to vote alongside her, and after catching wind from Lakuma that she was going to receive votes from Lantern and Remote Control, played her idol on herself. She then voted Lantern to force Remote Control to not vote with her anymore. Overall, successful, and got Antique back in power temporarily. In spot number 5, we once again have Lemon Battery. This time, Lemon Battery was the one playing the immunity idol instead of having it be played on him. After still being in the minority, alongside no other competitors, they faced off against the majority alliance led by Blooming Cactus, and Lemon Battery caught wind of the plan to put a majority of the votes onto his ally, Hockey Stick, and played his idol on him. This saved Hockey Stick, and he survived the round following before being eliminated in a split tribal. He later rejoined, but that will not be factored within this. Also, this idol was primarily found due to a hint that the 2 purchased at an auction the round before, making this a very impressive last-minute save. In spot number 4, we have the diva of Nightingale Islands, Lakuma. Lakuma was on the bottom after a single elimination turned into a double. Her best ally, Antique, was just eliminated, and options were limited. By some miracle, Lakuma found an idol and baited the cast into voting her, claiming that she wanted to quit. This request was followed, then she played an idol, and in a direct parallel to Pantanal with Blacklight, and mimicking a previous elimination in Rion Island, idled out Blooming Cactus due to excessively good challenge performance and strategic placement. Lakuma then worked alongside others to barely avoid elimination at the next round, then won immunity at the final 5 elimination, and then at the final 4 convinced Park Pamphlet to bring her to the finale. Park Pamphlet's negligence after this idol play directly resulted in Lakuma winning the season as a whole in a close finale against Park Pamphlet. This also means that the idol plays that eliminated Blooming Cactus ranked 5th and 4th, which is pretty funny. In spot number 3, we have yet another winner, Secret. Secret was in the hot seat due to being an under-the-radar threat who had built up a story of not needing a strong, dominant alliance to stay alive. He played the idol that Slingshot had just recently received after stealing it from Platinum, and by doing so, preventing himself in landing in a 2-2-2 tie. Instead, Slingshot was eliminated in the tie, a move that upset Secret. If Slingshot were to have used the idol on himself, Secret would have been eliminated in the revote instead of him, and Slingshot would have likely won the season. In spot number 2, we have the final instance from Blacklight, who currently holds the record for most idols played at 4. Blacklight was once again the target, but got an idol from his secret ally, Gingersnap, at the final 8 of Sonkatra. Everyone was confident that this challenge threat, and now strategic threat, was doomed to elimination. But after Gingersnap found out about his impending doom, informed him to play the idol given. He then had Gingersnap once again vote him to avoid suspicion of their connection, and got Moldy Cheese to vote for Heart Carabiner alongside him. Initially, he wanted to vote for Kazoo, but decided against it in hopes of eliminating the only other major challenge threat left. This play, although seeming smart and being very successful, later came back the next round to bite him after he got greedy in the challenge in hopes of getting individual immunity and ran out of idols to protect him. And in spot number 1, the absolute most impressive idol play, my personal favorite, and the most impactful debatably. Even though it was at the final 5 elimination, the last chance to use an idol, I still believe the story behind it is what puts it in spot number 1. The first ranking spot, best idol play in Trailblazer history, is by Secret at the final 5 of Brion Island. Secret was still being targeted for having such a story to tell. So with the help of Spaghetti, Spaghetti convinced Slingshot to fork over his other idol prior to his elimination at the final 6. This idol was then passed to Secret, who used it to avoid elimination in a 2-2-1 vote, and instead eliminated his biggest threat to winning the game, Lemon Battery, in an elaborately planned split vote. This won Secret the season. This was such a win-win idol play, and if it wasn't Lemon Battery, it was just going to be Hockey Stick, who also was just as big a threat. I think Secret really did win the season here, and although it was pretty late in the game, which I did consider a big factor, this is the best idol play because it did so much. Now, of course, there's still plenty of seasons of Trailblazer to come. I think there's definitely a lot of room for improvement on idol plays, and I can't wait to see what the future has in store, especially with All-Stars coming up in just a few months. I really hope that you like this video. I just love statistics, and I just wanted some background noise for myself, to be honest. I think stuff like this just really puts a smile on my face, and I hope you can appreciate it too. Thank you all. Consider Trailblazer as a fun thing. I don't know, apply. Maybe get your name on one of these lists, and that's about it. Thank you.